arguments on the trans sports panel pissed me off. Every time you compare the strength of men and women, I thought it was stupid and seemed bad faith.
It just made me want to kill myself is people like to echo this statement of trans women are women, which is kind of true to some extent, but like...
This is like... I'm only gonna do this argument one time, and then I'm just gonna perm ban, because I don't know if it's good faith or if you just... Honestly, I would like to hear you explain why the Olympic standards aren't good enough. So there's two huge problems with the Olympic standards. First, say, oh wait, no. So this is like the problem, and I guess this might be where I sound the most transphobic. Your arguments on the trans sports panel pissed me off. Every time you compare the strength of men and women, I thought it was stupid and seemed bad faith, because it... It dodges the actual serious question, which is, does HRT attenuate the difference by enough to make things fair? The reason why the conversation has to start here is because most people don't have, most people don't acknowledge this. I think most of the trans community and most people that argue online don't think there's that big of a difference. So I think the conversation has to start with people acknowledging how big the difference is, because I think people just don't understand it. And then from there, you can have a conversation about, like, does HRT or whatever change things? But the reality is like all of the long-term research says no, and even like the most staunch advocates that I was arguing against conceded as much. Like, okay, yeah, it doesn't, but their cop-out was always like, but we need to control for height in all these studies, which is ridiculous, because height is one of the big genetic advantages conferred on men from women. Again, the average male height is like 5'9.5", and a 5'9.5" male is taller than 98% of women, of cis women. So I mean, like, it's just, but I think it's like one of those arguments. It's like super, I think it's just super obvious. I don't know. I don't think anybody engages in good faith. The whole conversation seems painfully partisan from every party involved. Yeah, because conservatives just want to jump on the other end and dogpile too. So it's just, but I mean, like, I think every conversation on the internet is dog shit, because nobody's actually invested in any of these topics. I think that it's just an ability for you to virtue signal. I think that's all they become. And then if you view it through that lens, like, everything kind of makes sense, right? On the trans side, they want to be as extreme as possible. You know, get like people on that panel were saying ban women's sports. Or like just get rid of women's sports. But then on the conservative side, it's like, fuck all trans people. This is all evil, horrible shit anyway. We should never have trans people. So it's like everybody just uses all of these issues, just become like a vehicle through which people can channel whatever virtue signal they want for whether they like or don't like trans people, I guess. Yeah. Are there any trans men in the politics space? I feel like everyone is a trans woman. I think in real life, the numbers are a little bit closer, but on the internet, you get way more attention for being a woman than you do for being a man. So trans men probably just don't get much attention, even if they are out there. You get way more validation and attention being a woman in these conversations. So. Have you ever heard the theory that male to female trans is caused by AGP? No, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember what AGP stands for, but there was some kind of weird person who had like this idea that trans people came from like some weird sexual shit, or I don't know, something weird, but I don't think that guy had any research. And I think that person just seemed like, back when I remember looking at it, just seemed like a guy that really hated trans people. That's what I saw. Is this what makes the trans sports conversation so difficult? It's the fact that there doesn't seem to be anybody giving a reasonable take on it. I think the problem is that it's just what I said before. What I said before is a problem. The big issue, and you even heard this come up during conversations, made me want to kill myself, is people like to echo this statement of trans women are women, which is kind of true to some extent. But like, the way that you engage with that statement, you have to have an understanding of what exactly you're talking about. But then when we have a conversation where like, being a trans woman is going to be differentiated from being a cis woman, now we get into like, well, actually they're the same because trans women are women. And it's like, well, no, this is like the subject of what we're talking about, right? So it's like, yeah, super cancerous. I still don't see the big difference between tall women and trans women. Is the advantage conferred from being trans that great? Yeah, every single study that's come out that's looked long-term, I think 36 months might be the longest ones, has shown there to be a pretty significant retention of lean body mass, even post-transition, like a pretty significant. And then height is a really big determining factor for certain sports. And men biologically are just very, very, very tall compared to women biologically. Like very, very, very tall. Did you watch this? If this is the Hassan clip, he's just stupid. There's literally nothing to talk about. It's just an uninformed take. He just doesn't know what he's talking about. The argument is going to lead to cis women being way less competitive. Well, the argument basically goes to where TERFs say the argument is going, which wasn't supposed to be the case, but TERFs say that one of the biggest reasons why they oppose trans people is because trans people they want to invade and destroy women's spaces where women feel safe. But now people, like on that panel yesterday, were unironically arguing, like, do we even need women's sports? Like, let's just get rid of it. And it's like, okay, well, in that case, you're kind of justifying like the turfy fear, because now you literally want to go into a woman's space and then destroy that space for trans people. That's literally like the worst possible thing you could ever do. You're justifying so much transphobia doing this, because now, well, what else that is like a woman's space is going to be under attack, you know? Okay, people keep saying this. Do you think women's sports should be separated out in tall and short? So this is like, I'm only gonna do this argument one time, and then I'm just gonna perm ban, because I don't know if it's good faith or if you're just like trying to find like, because like people just, well, should we control for the number of fingers? Well, should we control for the eye color? Should we control for hair? Should we control? What about for everything? No, we've decided that we've divvied up sports between men and women, because broadly speaking, women can't compete with men. Broadly speaking, that's just for biological reasons. We've said that. Okay. When you talk about like, do you want to separate out tall and short leagues? If you wanted to, I guess you could, but that's not what we've done. We haven't made that decision to separate out tall and short leagues. And also, if you did want to separate out tall and short leagues, you would still have to separate out men and women, because a woman of the same height as a man isn't going to be competitive. So you're just reductively getting to the same issue later on down the line, right? Do you have thoughts on the argument that one person gave? Should children that go through growth hormone treatment be banned? Depending on why they did. I guess it would depend. I mean, like if you need HGH for deficiency reasons or whatever. Honestly, I would like to hear you explain why the Olympic standards aren't good enough. So there's two huge problems with the Olympic standards. First of all, if you're having a scientific discussion, you can't appeal to the reasoning of non-scientific committees, okay? The Olympic community, the NCAA, these aren't scientific communities. These are people that are making policy prescriptions, hopefully based on their review of the science. There's two huge problems that I've heard with the Olympic stuff. The first one is that even if we go just by the testosterone measurement, apparently the testosterone measurement even the testosterone measurement is apparently like, is it 2 times higher than what cis women typically have? Am I making that up? Like I think at the Olympics it has to be down to 10 nanomoles per whatever, and I think like the average cis woman has like 2 to 5 or something. Is it 4 times higher? Ten is 5 times higher? Okay. So the testosterone limit is already like incredibly high, number one. And then number two, long-term research has indicated that there are still significant advantages kept by women versus men. So didn't used to be undecided on trans women in sports. Yeah, I was, but I mean like now that I've done more research, like I used to think before that it was one of those things where studies go kind of back and forth and who knows, but that's not the case actually. I was just misled because trans advocates online, who are the worst people to advocate for the trans community, these people usually selectively pick a few bullshit studies with like sample size equals 3, studying like bone density, and then they'll try to quote things from that study about like muscle mass. Consistently, all of the research points towards trans women maintaining a pretty high advantage even after being on hormone replacement therapy for 3 years. And that's like been a consistent direction of all of the major research. You can have like, I don't remember who I was talking to a few days ago. They all, whatever, mix them up. A few days ago, you can have people that are like trying to talk about, I clicked that cherry tweet and my brain just got wiped. The one girl yesterday or 3 days ago or whatever was trying to say like, well, if you look at like the Air Force push-up test and compare, and that was like her big study, and it's like, why? This, like, I'm good on that one, Chief. That's not going to be my go-to. Like, who the fuck cares? Yeah. What about trans women who transition before puberty? Do we have studies on that? Probably not. That's an incredibly niche category. I think that if you catch somebody before puberty, I think there are much stronger arguments for them being able to compete in the sport of their whatever gender they or sex that they transition to, because puberty is the thing that really gets those dimorphic. It really drives the differences between the sexes is puberty. This is why like little boys and little girls all have similar sounding we reuse parts, right? Evolution like will make use of whatever material is there, and like boys and girls are like pretty similar in a lot of respects. It's only once puberty hits, gonads develop, androgen it's pumped through your body, that's when we drive the big differences in sex. But when they're all kids, they're like relatively similar-ish. And then if you go through puberty as a woman versus a male, like that's going to inhibit like the huge driving of those different differences between the sexes. Yeah. Aren't young girls better than their boy counterparts in sports shit before they hit puberty? I don't think that's true. I think you're mixing that up with the fact that I think girls might have a period where they're better than boys at sports, but it's not before they go through puberty. I think it's because girls tend to start puberty earlier.
Men's penis size variable with their ratio of muscle mass to body fat.
More muscle means more meat.
This has been the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals, maybe ever.
Should cis women who compete against trans women be allowed to use exogenous hormones as well? Well, then we get into there's a whole bunch of weird shit in terms of like just making like doping leagues, right? I don't know. I think the trans community are going to continue to support trans athletes for as long as trans women don't win in international competition. At the moment, it's fair to say that most trans women are average in comparison to the elite cis women competing today. However, it's only going to take one trans woman to win an Olympic gold medal or smash a world record. That's impossible for a cis woman to take back for the community to say, oh, wait, no. So this is like the problem. And I guess this might be where I sound the most transphobic. If we get to a point to where trans people are so instantiated in normal like cis women competition that they start breaking records, it's too late to go back at that point. There will be that would be like a make or break moment, societally speaking, to where everything would be fucked. Because now you're talking about removing a whole bunch of people from athletic events because they probably would have been there. Now you're talking about wiping records. You're maybe socially will have moved over so much that people will just say like, fuck it, like we'll kill women's sports anyway, who cares? But if you're not at that point, people are going to lose their shit over it because it's going to be like, wow, now everything is fucked and now we can't go back. This is why people, as much as I hate them, this is why guns rights advocates who are even similar to me in saying things like, yeah, I think we probably should have more, gun restrictions. They'll say, I don't want any more gun restrictions. And the reason why is because they're worried that if they give a little bit, if they give an inch, the government will take a mile. That, okay, fine, we can have like psyche valves. Okay, I'm okay with that. And then like the next law is, okay, well also if you've ever had a misdemeanor, you can't own a firearm. And like, well, fuck, we've already kind of like, we've given a little and now that's the next step. So now we have to fight against like the impending doom of our gun rights, And I think it would be similar here. Is there any polling data on how people feel about this? I have no idea. I've never looked for any, actually. Good one, not jar. I already know your link is a troll link because I don't think there are any 5-year studies, but I'll click it anyway to see what your meme is. Happy National Puppy Day. Good one. Is the remove women's sports argument just nonsense, or am I missing something? Wouldn't that also make trans women non-competitive? I don't know. I'm not sure. A lot of people could be using elite cis women athletes to compare against trans women athletes. Wouldn't it make more sense to use cis women athletes that are closer to the average in their sport? Yeah, maybe. Why is it they don't seem to care about eliminating women's sports? Because I almost said it's something transphobic, I guess, because a lot of them aren't women. Something that I notice in all of the panels that we have these conversations on, the panels are full of men and trans women and never any cis women. You don't have any cis women representation. So, I mean, if that's the case, and if we think that who you are and your background influences how you view things, then yeah, it's not really surprising that a lot of these people would be like, yeah, fuck it, fuck women's sports. Because you've got trans women that don't care much about cis women's sports, and then you've got men who don't care about women's sports ever. So what sort of solution do you think is reasonable? It's a rough one. I don't know if there's a good solution that doesn't just kind of like fuck trans women over. You have to choose. You're either fucking trans women over or you're fucking trans men over. And right now we've decided socially to just fuck trans men over and cis women.
Didn't
So,
say
I mean,
Simon Says.
do you think it can lead to some sort of cultural swing if trans women start dominating more and more? So like, this would be, I don't know if this would happen, but this would be like the absolute nightmare scenario, okay? The absolute nightmare scenario, would this ever happen? This is a little fantastic, but the absolute nightmare scenario is that all of this gets the green light and you start seeing some people like transition for 3 or 4 years just to dominate like women's sports and then like detransition later in life. That would be, because the reason why that would be so nightmarish is it would give a lot of feel to the people that are like, oh look, trans people are fake. Like they're not even doing this for real. Like this is all bullshit. I think it would throw a lot of gasoline into that fire of, are trans people even real? Bro, nobody's gonna do that, Destiny, please. That's not gonna happen. I mean, people do a lot of crazy shit for sport. I don't know, man. Are people just transitioning for the lulz? I don't think so, but like something that, and again, I think this conversation is more entertaining to have with athletes because a lot of people just don't know. Like, I don't think a lot of you guys realize the insane dedication that some early athletes have to competing in certain events. Like, you guys have to understand when you're looking at like gym Olympic gold medalists, right? These girls are like 15 years old, right? Like, these people have an insane commitment. Sometimes it's not even their commitment. Sometimes it's driven by like family and shit. And this idea, like, would anybody really do drugs in order to be like, dude, these people do a lot of crazy shit. Like, yeah, like fucking back in high school sports, even like wrestlers would kill themselves trying to meet weight, you know, dehydrating the fuck out of themselves in weird suits and crazy shit. So yeah, I don't know. There's, I don't know if that would happen. Again, that's like a pretty fantastic scenario, but like, did you cover the college swimmer Vosh's sub that is opposing things here? I saw some of this thread, but it read stupidly. Like, I don't think they said anything smart. I'm retired from swimming now, but I was a lifelong swimmer when I swam at college. Huge fan of pro and D1 collegiate swimming, and I know sports inside and out. The right take on Leah Thompson has been insane. First of all, every article I've read shows how brazen they'll push an agenda. Don't care, don't care. Saying that Leah, let's take a list. There's evidence of her insane. I think this is just contesting like how insane was her record switching or whatever. Yeah, there was nothing on here to even grapple with. They're not really making any arguments. Just saying that some of the some of the rights coverage on it was like pretty insane, which is true to be fair. I'm so curious what part of Twitch never tells me why I get banned. They said that a violation occurred on stream, and then the 3 possible things they gave was posting a combination of words and emotes in chat to promote denigration based on race, praising or supporting a hate crime, and then the third one, this would blow my mind if it's the third one, or advocating for the exclusion of a group of people based on their disability. There's no way, right? What if it was the hate raid? I don't think my community does hate raids. I don't believe that. Someone on Twitter was saying you played a clip on stream of someone saying the N-word. I don't think that happened. But even if that does happen, you don't get banned for that. As long as you like shut it down and you're not like giggling along with it or whatever. Unless it was the rap music I listened to. Imagine if my ban was for calling VTubers sub. That would be a good one. Do you think there are actually enough trans women such that they will dominate every sport? I feel this is not like, I don't like this argument. I just hand wave. This is a bullshit argument that there's not enough of them or it doesn't matter. It's still about like the competitive integrity, right? Like, I'm sure that there are certain numbers of weak men that we could have competing in women's sports that still wouldn't win. So would we be like, well, you know, like as long as we have the men, like they have to be 5'4", their max bench press has to be like 85 pounds. Like we could let these compete. Would it really be that big of a deal? Like it's just a dog shit argument. Like that's just not how the sports are divvied up. We don't divvy up by that, by like yeah.
Didn't say Simon Says.
Do they at least tell you the day that it happened? Nope. All it says is where the violation occurred, on stream or VOD. But this is every single time I get banned for anything. It's the same fucking message. Do you like transgender people? Can I get an IL word trans people? No, I don't say that fucking meme shit. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I've got trans friends, obviously. I know who you are. I've chatted with you in Twitter DMs before. I have no problem with trans people. I enjoy talking to trans people. I like Taft Jeff. Like, what about black people? I love black people. Taft Jeff. I don't know what her fucking name is. She has the dumbest fucking name I've ever seen in my life. What is it? Tav Jav. Whatever the fuck that means, okay? One of the shitty VTubers you insulted had a bad disability. What? Is that true? That would be a fucking big ass meme. Is it just a small vocal minority of trans people that seem to take offense of so much so easily? I just think it's just a group of people online. I have to stress this for like the 50 trillionth time, although I don't know if it loses its effect at some point. The trans people in real life are not anything like the trans community online is one of the worst communities on the internet. But like trans people in real life and by and large are not like this. Like most people are pretty chill. We have a lot of trans people in my community that are like super chill. And I don't mean chill in that like, oh, they hate trans like we do. I just mean chill in that like they don't think every single fucking possible disagreement that you have with them makes you like a trans horrible evil murderer. Not you, Striker. You're one of the crazy ones. Striker, I feel like you've been banned from my chat for 50 times for telling people to kill. Okay, you're one of the crazy ones. All right. In your opinion, if something happens off of Twitch, should you get banned for it? The way that I run my platforms is I will never ban for off-platform behavior unless it was like really, really, really extreme. Like maybe if somebody was like trying to murder somebody or something. But otherwise, I think banning for off-platform behavior is really weird because then you get into this weird tattletale. We used to do it. I think we tried it a long time ago. But you get into this weird tattletale scenario where like every single person starts DMing. It's like, hey, this guy said this thing in this server, and here's all the evidence that that's who this is, and this person is this person, and if you look at that, they said this person who's all. And it's like, bro, I don't have time to like weed through like every fucking accusation that you're gonna make about somebody and like someone like that's fuck that shit. I don't have time for that.
Obama.
The new Twitch appeal
Okay,
system. Yeah, I already put my appeal on. I just have to wait.
More gods to me.
Didn't say Simon Says.
True.
This discourse is dumb play league.
Didn't say Simon Says. Didn't say Simon Says.
Question. If we concede that, in some future, trans women might have some therapeutic which leveled their median athletic advantages v median cis women, is women-only spaces argument still valid?
True.
99% of women swimmers are against this. How can anybody be for appeasing the 1%, the punishment for the 99%?
I don't know. Ask your mom. Got him.